Sounds like the music's peaking, by the way.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the next episode where DMs and players get together and hopefully provide you with some cool things to help you get that next point of inspiration. My name's Ethan, and my two other fellow colleagues here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Evan.
And my name is Justin.
All right, let me get this volume.
So what's on the agenda today?
Well, just before we get to that, just to get any issues out of the way here, even though I am a subscriber, I would like to thank all of the artists on artlist.io that provide us with this sweet, chillin' music for us to listen to while we share and explore our ideas.
Mhm.
Today's topic, I would like to talk about conditions. What are conditions? What are our favorite conditions and why?
Those
Are
are
there
those things you skip
OP
over,
and
right?
underwhelming, and ways you incorporate these into storytelling? So before we dive in, just in case there's new players out there or unfamiliar, I just went ahead and pulled up the definition from 5e, and I'll read that real quick, and then we can dive into sort of the first topic here. So, conditions alter a creature's capabilities in a variety of ways and can arise as a result of a spell, a class feature, a monster's attack, or other effect. Most conditions, such as blinded, are impairments, but a few, such as invisible, can be advantageous. A condition lasts either until it is countered. They have in parentheses, the prone condition is countered by standing up, for example, or for a duration specified by the effect that has imposed the condition. If multiple effects impose the same condition on a creature, each instance of that condition has its own duration, but the condition's effect doesn't get worse. A creature either has a condition or doesn't. And then it goes in to specify the, I think there's about 14 or 15. You have blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, unconscious, exhaustion, and and exhaustion. Um, let's go ahead and kick off with the first point have here. Let's talk about our favorite conditions and why, specifically in 5e. But if you have others that you know from either previous versions or different games, feel free to elaborate on those if you have a favorite condition that's not a part of 5e. Whoever would like to get started, feel free to go ahead.
I think my favorite and least favorite is poison. Like as a player, if you can poison something, then they have disadvantage on quite basically everything. And same like as my least favorite as a player, when something poisons me, and then I have disadvantage on basically everything, and that's never fun, right? So
For sure. Oh, did we lose Justin's camera here?
believe so.
All right.
I didn't see him.
All right. Well, until he gets back, favorite condition, man.
There's only
Dude,
a couple.
I have my most hated one as a DM when someone succeeds on stunning something. That can really, most of the time it's that Constitution save. So typically monsters, I would say the majority of most creatures and things that you would use to attack usually have a pretty high Constitution most of the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know or have enough experience specifically to know. So, like for stunning strike, I don't know in what ways you can boost that DC to increase it to make it happen more often for you. But when it does happen, it can really throw a wrench in your fight whenever you can't move. Are you able to still hear me? Hello? Yeah, I adjusted my mix amp, so I'll bear with me for a second. All right, hold on. Make sure my video here. Pro voice. All right, go ahead and say something for me. There
Hello?
we go. Okay, I can hear you now. Sorry about that. Yeah, if I just barely nudge my mix amp, apparently it just disconnects.
Oh, nice.
I would say that I believe this was maybe a condition. I don't know if it's specifically labeled as a condition, but I like the idea of something being dazed as opposed to unconscious.
Right.
And in my mind, dazed would just be like blinded and deafened at the same time. I feel like I think that would make sense to me.
That sounds like something you could create in the homebrew tool and D&D and Beyond, maybe.
Yeah. Like in other games, like a flashbang or something. That's what I think of when somebody's dazed. Like you can still kind of see, and it takes a second. Everything's kind of muffled, so you're slightly deafened, and you may not be able to see straight. So maybe that's more of what the blinding condition sort of represents, instead of just like not being able to see anything at all, but your vision actually just being disoriented in a sort instead.
Get your brain rattled a little bit, hitting your head or something.
Yeah. Some of those ones that you come across that you don't. I don't know if it's just because I haven't played at high enough levels that much, but it seems like the paralyzed and petrified. Maybe that's more of like a sort of niche type deal within the creature
Yeah,
realm.
for sure.
Um, I know the beholders are able to do all kinds of things. You know, there's always what's her name?
There are types of
Medusa.
poisons that can give paralysis.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Usually, you just think about the poison, but um, if you start incorporating like specifying, something's venomous as opposed to poisonous, you could start
Right.
incorporating different venoms or something or even poisons still to apply to different weapons or attacks. That's something that I might definitely want to look into is um, really expanding on like different types of poisons to be able to allow the players to purchase or make, um, which
I think
also
creating
expands
some would
on
be cool.
yeah. And I mean
'cause,
that
like,
expands on
there's
like the botany and like the type of flora, creating different flora to be able to extract these sort of chemicals or toxins to be able to create these as well.
there's quite a decent amount of poisons in base 5e, but a lot
Yeah.
of them are insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think homebrewing, like I think it'd make trying to be a poisoner, like actual like different, I guess, rogue or druid styles a little more playable. I think that's one reason why you don't really see people try and do that. It's because, well, okay, well, I'm gonna have to go drop $2,000 on a single poison. So okay, never mind.
Yeah, and I think it's the range on it is pretty crazy too, isn't it? Like you have some really low ones that are I
Yeah,
guess not
12 DC.
yeah. So they're either like really low
Okay,
level and junky and then they go straight to like being mid tier and strong but cost so much money that you can't even afford them or
right.
would want to pay for it. So I guess that's where creating your own would come into handy with like a poisoner's kit or something, but you'd still need gold to create them with the supplies needed.
But yeah, I meant like homebrew your own prices and your own like maybe homebrew set of poisons kind of thing. Like you're talking about like with your flora creating different versions of poisons similar to the generic drought poison or whatever base poisons maybe 5e already has, but um working them to make more sense in whatever setting you're in.
Yeah, I immediately think of Game of Thrones and the Strangler that kills King Joffrey.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a Strangler.
That
Something like
I
that
think
too is, how much of a game changer could that be to make something that actually works like that instead of just something that you apply to something. What if it's more realistic to where, a single drop of this into somebody's food and they'll never wake again? Like, what if you actually gave your player, sorry about the dog, he won't shut up. If you can hear him barking, probably at the deer in the backyard. Uh,
sorry.
yeah, but what if the players actually got like a small little tincture of something that's that deadly to where they could actually role play like putting it into somebody's food and they just die from it, and it's not necessarily like, oh, they take this D something and and they suffer from this condition. But what if it was actually more like, yeah, if somebody consumes this, it is certain death.
That'd be really cool. And the whole putting it in food thing is another, because a lot of them actually, like if you actually go look at the list of poisons, a lot of them are used by like not from stabbing someone, but from them consuming it. And so most poisons don't even ever get used because of that. And that'd be a cool role play scenario to see people actually use, like you're saying.
Hello, 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 hello. You guys can out here.
Hello, hello.
I thought he said Allah Akbar for a second.
Aloha snack bar.
Hold on. Alright.
You're cutting out a lot.
Right.
Yep, just sounds like you're kind of far out and then up close and
What about you guys hear me now?
Sounds like you're far out, dude.
far out, man.
Can you guys hear me now?
A little bit better.
So there was a very loud boom, and then all of my power went out. At the entire.
That'd be a transformer, maybe, or a bomb.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. All right. Well, is there a condition that you think is OP?
Is banish a condition?
No. I think it's just an effect
Yeah, it is.
that happens.
Well,
so you don't like banish.
No. Especially not as a DM, because people get to use it. So, well, there goes my boss.
For a minute, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Only a minute. Minute can be pretty long, though. Petrified is pretty. Yeah, probably petrified. I mean, petrified and stunned. You don't get nothing if you're petrified and stunned. You're just out.
Yeah, for sure. Like just not being able to do anything at all. That's one thing if you have disadvantage on your rolls or.
Well, I guess the same with paralyzed. Because if you're paralyzed, any attack against you is automatic crit. That's another pretty OP one. You automatically fail strength and dex saves. You can't move or speak. But I guess petrified is the same thing, but you need like a remove poison and or like disease or like cure whatever to get rid of that. So at least paralyzed generally is done over time, but petrify typically is not, because it's more of a curse than getting
usually turned to stone instead of just not being able to move.
Right. So probably petrified is the most OP.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the most rare.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to
kind of have to be fighting a mummy or a basilisk or a
basilisk thing.
Yeah.
Or Medusa.
Yeah, Medusa.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of those. What about underwhelming? Like, what's something just like, eh? I think some of the ones that are isolated, like, if I had to say, maybe deafened. It's probably the least detrimental.
Yeah, unless you theme it. So like because you're deafened and so used to hearing, you give the person disadvantage on stuff, but the normal deafened is you fail saves that require hearing. So
yeah, I guess
But
I guess I'm thinking probably more geared towards combat, like
yeah,
and deafen, is such a specific thing that um yeah, I guess depending on how you play it, I guess you could always maybe give the enemies advantage on their or whoever is deafened, whoever's attacking the deafened target, maybe they could have advantage on attacks that are out of their periphery since they
oh yeah,
can't
that'd
see
be
them unless they're not looking
anyone
at them.
anyone like in the squares behind them essentially have advantage.
Yeah, out of like a 180-degree cone, you know, it would make sense because if they're not like turning around to look at them, it would almost be like a surprise attack, sort of.
Yeah, I think
I
that's really
mean,
cool.
even though, I mean, even, they might know that they're there, but they can't see or they can't hear them like moving or going to attack them. They're just relying on everything completely on sight. So, yeah, maybe that's something
Yeah,
to look at or to think about in the future.
yeah, I think that's
Maybe
cool.
applying deafen to some people, and might want to give a heads up though for homebrew conditions, just in case you have any rules lawyers at your tables.
No, yeah, for sure. Well, actually, the rule book says.
Actually, Justin, how's it going? Not well, it seems. All right, let me get to this next point here, I guess. Um, in what ways do you incorporate conditions in your storytelling or settings?
I
Um,
kind of like to do, especially very early on. I remember you talked about. I think it was when I was first building some of my first few levels of the tower and stuff, like putting them in the environment. I think that is a great way to give the feel, like conditions based on, the blizzard that's going through, or conditions based on, kind of like the darkness and the maze creating certain could create, different effects on people.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's something, especially as a new DM, I found myself not really incorporating some of those things. And then once you do, like that first time, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and mess with this and see what this happens. Or, I haven't been implementing vision quite the way the rules even say. And then, sometimes you can amp it up a little bit to more meaningful, like um, when players walk into that dark room, even with everybody's like, "Oh, who has dark vision? I have dark vision. I have dark vision." It doesn't
Well, I have
matter
dark
whenever
vision.
there's yeah, doesn't really matter when there's that dark sort of fog that kind of rolls throughout the area, and everybody has disadvantage on their perception checks, and depending on being light or heavily obscured, heavy obscurity
Yeah,
essentially
it's
is
yeah,
blindness. So you're kind of like walking into the unknown and gives that sort of immediate sense of danger, maybe fear, um, and it can really amplify the mood of the moment. I feel like.
I heard you, Justin.
I had muted him in Discord because I kept on hearing a bunch of background stuff.
Figure that out.
All right.
So
There he
you
is.
said it right there. You guys can hear me now?
Yes.
You said it. You walk into a dark, looming space. And that's the truth. Like, that's where they are. Players, all players, I want you to know, your DM doesn't need to know if you have dark vision immediately. Because all the DM is hearing is from you that you're not in a dark space. You're not there with them in the story. Instead, you are on your character sheet trying to defeat the DM. But as soon as you look around to the other party members or into the DM and say, I'd like to listen and let my eyes adjust. What does this place smell like? What does it sound like as my eyes are adjusting? And I guarantee your DM will be like, okay. And he'll tell you, and you have dark vision. Because you're letting your character be in the space that he's trying to create. And I think that's what the conditions are for. They're not this like mechanical, enhancement onto, like a combat. They're not there to enhance anything. They're there to remind you that your character is poisoned. And as you begin to make that skill check, you have gut wrenching pain, or you can feel the breakdown of your muscles. And I that's what I think they're there for. There's not a lot of them, and they're not often used because I think they're looked at it. And I'm also guilty of that.
So they're looked at as what?
They're looked at incorrectly. They're looked at as like a way to enhance your combat or your player's experience. Am I not coming through very clearly?
Not just that one word. That's
Yeah, it's like fire damage is a way to diversify, a player's choices. That like by adding different types of damage, you are increasing the player's experience with damage. But conditions are there to remind the player of their weaknesses in this moment to make it, more harrowing if they succeed.
mm-hmm. I like that take. Yeah.
I mean, it feels better,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a player. I've been blinded as a player. I hated it because we weren't like, oh no, your party member is blinded. This is terrible. It was like, everybody's like dragging me along. Like, I felt like an inconvenience, They're like, oh, come on, man. It's taking forever. I'm like, I'm bumping into things. Shit. Somebody help me.
Yeah. Could be a good comedy tool too.
Definitely brings some sort of realness, though, about how severe some of the conditions can actually be, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is my voice activity working now?
Yeah, it seems
Mhm.
all right.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, um, it does bring a little bit of gritty realism to the scenario you're setting, right? I know I made a mistake with the curse condition. If we are we considering curses conditions?
Well, I
Um,
believe different curses do different things, right? So, like a
Yeah,
curse
like
can
this
put
one.
different conditions on you.
Yeah,
And
the
in of
condition.
itself is not a condition, though, being cursed.
Oh, the condition it left you in was dead. So that was a pretty bad one.
Yeah, it's a bad condition.
And yeah, it's a really bad one. Yeah. Nobody liked that either. Um,
yeah. Well, I think it was more or less like it's one of those things where you're cursed, and there's just like no, absolutely like no way to get around it.
yeah, I did not put a potion in the next
Right.
Well,
room.
role play in town,
I
you gotta find the priest or the
Well, we were like out in the middle
Oh
of
yeah,
nowhere,
yeah, it was
like
bad.
days away. Like we had to cross like an open desert to be able to get to this place, and then we were all like too low level to even have remove curse ourselves.
Yeah, and the freaking rogue, to my defense, decided to on like the last turn of combat melee the mummy, who was just getting out of his coffin. He was just like waking up. He was just like he was stretching a leg out, and he runs up to stab him.
Yeah, and I think I basically like almost one shot him with flaming sphere. So
Yeah, dude. Well, he was like stuck in his bed, like old man stuck. He was like rocking. He'd been there a while.
yeah, and then mummy rot, which
Yep.
actually will bring us over to something. Evan, I asked you to pick out three creatures, and we're gonna
Ooh.
kind of incorporate those with conditions. One of them doesn't really necessarily have anything to fully have a discussion about, which is the badger, because
Okay.
not only do they not inflict any conditions, but they also are not immune to any conditions. But the second one
Okay.
is going to really hit home with this topic because you chose a mummy lord, which
Oh yeah.
they are immune to being charmed, exhausted, which is funny because they look
hmm
and seem like they'd be
Tired.
exhausted.
They look tired, bro.
It's for somebody that's 1,000 years old. I am never tired, you mother. They are immune to being frightened, which is cool. I mean, they've seen
Or
some
is it
shit,
is it
right?
because they're always tired? I think it's because they're always tired.
You can't exhaust
Like
them
you cast
anything.
exhaust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. It's
it's
like
like
they've
wait,
Bruce
already
Banner's
died from
secret.
exhaustion.
He's always angry.
he's always tired. Yeah. Which
They
I
can't be
think honestly
paralyzed,
that resonates with me.
and they can't
They
be
can
poisoned.
be.
They cannot. They're immune
Oh, okay.
to charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, and poison.
Okay. So you just wanted to talk about like what conditions that mummies like. I mean, what's the idea?
Based off of these condition immunities, if you had to like
Yeah.
go against this creature or maybe try to apply your own condition that it's not immune
Hmm.
to, what would you choose?
Hmm.
Can you say it's
I
immunities
think we.
again or resistances? Sorry.
Um, it is immune to the charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, and poisoned.
Okay, so
Okay.
it can be stunned.
It can be stunned.
Yeah. So you just bring a monk in that has immunity to Like a paladin monk is what you need.
So do you just have a party of monks, and surely
And paladins.
surely out of one of the 5 con saves, the creature just fails on the stunning strike?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There's
And then
probably
and everybody has
different
fun too. That's
casters
you
would
forgot
be
to add
good
that.
too. Like utility spells, like grease. You can like slip him and keep him prone and stuff like that.
Fucking, he gets out of bed cracking, and then he says, "Oh, my disc." Oh.
Because prone is
And then
a
you,
condition.
Yeah.
Magical darkness. Another one. Can't hit you if you can't see you.
Not very easily, anyway.
Yeah.
I think the Mummy Lord could. He can like summon swarms of scarabs and like other mummies to do his bidding. He has legendary resistances,
Sure.
layer actions.
But as in terms of like beneficial conditions you could use against him.
Man, I see. If I get full prep on this Mummy Lord, I am like binding him. That cage spell that binds them to a plane of existence.
Oh, dang, he's a CR 15. I didn't even...
That's pretty big.
Yeah, I gotta find the spell, man. Yeah. Mummy Lords are OP, bro.
Cast Harm, Contagion, Insect Plague, Guardian of Faith,
Mm-hmm.
Divination, Animate Dead, Spell Magic, Spiritual Weapon. Not
Yeah,
only
they
that,
just whoop
but
your ass with spiritual
yeah,
weapon.
they also have Rotting Fist, Dreadful Glare, a couple legendary actions here.
The way that Dreadful Glare is, and because just how we've been talking about this Mummy Lord, he just looks at you disappointed, really. He doesn't say anything. He just looks at you and regards you as the idiot you're being. And you both know. Looks at you over his glasses.
Yeah, it's interesting too that just looking at, not to deal with conditions, but they have a bunch of damage immunities. Typically it's resistance, but they are immune to necrotic, poison, and bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. Hopefully you would have some sort of magical attacks by the time you face the CR 15 creature, but it's just kind of funny, like, if you don't...
what a campaign where it's like we have not found a magic sword. Our wizard is a god.
Yeah.
And then to need a magic sword. I mean, there's only ever been one time in my RPG experience that I have ever struggled with not being able to kill a ghost because I needed a magic sword, and it was in Skyrim, or not Skyrim, it was in Oblivion, and
Oblivion.
Yeah, dude, I died like 20 times in a row, and I was like, "What is happening?" Until I figured it out, or silver would work too, but that was like it was impossible. I think that to expand from conditions, I think like resistances and immunities are conditions of like the encounter, right? These are things that like yes, no have to happen. And I think immunities and resistances, especially like immune to non-magical damage, can be terrifying. It can be really like a very powerful thing.
especially if you're RPing to like specialize in a specific damage type. You know, say I wanted to play Colonel Mustang, and all I wanted to do is have fire type spells. And then you go against the next creature here that Evan picked was a Balor. I'm not necessarily for sure on the pronunciation there, but they're immune to fire and poison damage. And they are immune to the condition poisoned. Only poisoned. They don't have a huge list like the Mummy Lord, but
yeah.
Which is kind of, I always kind of think like, you know, why wouldn't these demons from hell be immune to fire damage? But, you know, I guess you could kind of flavor the fire in different ways, as one being hellfire versus one being,
Sure.
I don't know.
Simple chemical reaction.
This isn't the same. It's a little bit hotter down.
There is no oxidation where I am from.
But yeah, Balor's huge fiends look like they would do some serious work. Well, they have death throws. When the Balor dies, it explodes, and each creature within 30 feet must make a DC 20 Dex save and taking 70 fire damage. Actually, you
Holy
know, I think I started implementing this on some of my creatures whenever it got to the point where like everybody was just murdering everything and nobody's taking any damage. So it's just like, you know what? You guys are going to take damage because every time you kill something, it's going to explode.
No, and that actually, okay. So going from that like frustration of there's no way to like not everybody can be that rules lawyer DM, or not everybody can be that person who like can just look at somebody's character sheet and have it memorized. Especially if you haven't been playing for it. Like if you just like throw a group together, everybody's level 3 or 5 or something, you have no clue. You know, there's so many different options. So I think we've all been frustrated and been like, shit, that didn't go the way I wanted.
I would like to clarify that that is definitely in like a joking manner, because if anybody knows who plays in my games, probably one of the most lenient as far as
absolutely
things at all. But I have created enemies though that do explode, and you know, you do get those moments where it's like, you took damage because I made them explode. You guys are just completely murder everything.
That becomes a cool encounter.
Yeah. Especially if it deals a lot of damage and it's like extremely impactful. And it matters to not be in that area.
Or if it's like, I think another thing is, in my head, I'm seeing the players are, they're faced with a choice, right? Of allowing themselves the potential of being surrounded, or but they would get a reward, that there's something that they desire, or they ignore, they just try to stay on the outskirts and ignore it completely. And they, not knowing that they explode, it has to be a big part of this, right? But slowly revealing to them that is the case when, as it gets to the brink of being too late to turn around, is that looming threat, right? And it's like, shit, we're almost to the chest. I know it's full of something good. And they're like, but this guy is swelling. He's
Yeah,
swelling
why,
up.
Why is his stomach glowing? Why is it pulsating?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Why
then
is he
now you
smiling?
have like, yeah. Why is DM laughing? He's muted, but I can see him laughing. And I think that's like a cool, like slow burn on that kind of situation, right?
Those specific creatures too.
Mhm.
Definitely, like if you pair that with really thinking about the setup of the battle area, like your terrain,
Mhm.
and are able to like manipulate where the players go and stand, you can really throw in some interesting things like, say there's drop offs or ledges, and you have like these swarms of enemies pushing the players to the ledge. So not only do they have to worry about these creatures exploding on them, but they got their backs to this steep ledge where they could potentially fall off and take a significant amount of falling damage or something. Or if if you're trying to lead your characters onto the next point, it could be a good way to do that if your players are fine with that type of gaming.
Mhm.
More streamlined sort of story.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's you could it could be used as a like after the players know exactly how they function, right? They've got a full understanding of it. You're not putting a wall that they can't walk through in front of them. You're putting a wall they shouldn't walk through in front of them and letting them decide where the story goes from there, right? And, we all think that, especially as DMs, are going to be like, there's no way in hell that they're going to wade into a sea of hundreds of exploding zombies. Why is everybody wrapping themselves up right now? What's that? Why is everybody putting on bandanas over their faces?
Hey.
What's
going on, guys? Tell me.
Hey, yeah, what do you guys? Yeah, why are you casting Pass Without a Trace? Excuse me. DM here.
All right. I think since we have some solid communication coming through for you, Justin, I'm going to jump to a segment if you guys want
nice.
to play.
Does it involve seeing things?
No.
Okay.
I believe they do something like this on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So
Okay.
But I don't know the name of it, so I just called it musical descriptions instead of like musical chairs.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna give you like we'll start off. I'll start off with you, Evan, and I'm gonna give you a basic character description to RP, and then I'll say pause, and it'll jump over to Justin, but I'll add in a sort of characteristic or description to change as you sort of continue on.
I absolutely love this.
Does that make enough sense for you guys to be able to follow along?
I think so.
I don't really have a somebody to express anything to you, so it'll be all more of like conversation that you make up on your own. Is that fine?
I'll give
go.
it a go.
Okay. Evan.
And who's starting? Okay.
A human pumpkin farmer coming to town, but all the prices of the seeds are way too high.
All right, okay. Trying to gather my voices. So do I need to describe him as well?
No,
Or is it just the conversation?
just a conversation.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the music here.
All right.
Yep.
Well, looking for some seeds. You know, I am the town's pumpkin farmer after all. But all your seeds are little above market value. Well, you know, I don't think so. You know, I got to make a living too, you know. Why don't you just, you know, use your own seeds from your own pumpkins? I guess I never really thought of it that way. It's a good idea. I'm lost there.
Pause. Justin. He's Russian.
Okay.
He's Soodle. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Is he Austrian? No, that's not it. What's my Russian word to get my voice?
Vodka. Or Russia.
Russia
Or bear.
or bear. Is the Russian? Okay. So I come here to sell my pumpkins, and this is something that I do every year. It's as we forget, you know, my famous seedless pumpkins. Okay, but maybe they do not grow as big as the pumpkins over there. My arch nemesis, Mrs. Tilly. She must be a million years old by now. And when she dies, my seedless pumpkins will be the prize of the farmer's market. Why are you crying, child? This is just the way the world is.
And pause. He's German.
German.
If you can't say
Um,
German, just say next.
Oh yeah? You say, oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the seedless pumpkins sell like crazy because it's so easy to carve. So, you know, the Halloween, they sell Magnifico. Oh, that's not right. That's not German. That's Italian.
That is, yeah. Yeah, that's not how the Germans say it. It's something that we cannot say in our language. I mean, we have saying for it, but it's like, it's too complicated of syllables for your mouth.
So I has to come here to buy your seeds because mine has no seeds. Are they both German?
No. We'll pause there. Addition to the scenario. First, you are now with a southern accent, and for some reason,
Right.
the merchant just sold pumpkin seeds at a far cheaper price right in front of you to another pumpkin farmer.
God damn it, Miss Tilly. I knew it. You just got something against me, don't you? Don't you stare at me through them wrinkly, squinted eyes and chew on nothing because you ain't got no teeth. Oh, yeah, you look sweet to everybody else. I place both hands on the counter and sprawl them wide. But I know you got it out for me. And I ain't having it. Are you sleeping? Oh, hell, maybe she's dead.
And pause. Same accent, but the pitch of your voice is a lot higher.
For me?
Dang, Pa.
Oh, okay.
Just because we are in the same market don't mean that you gotta do me like that. Oh my god!
I've
I
honestly,
pull out my
I've watched the scene.
spittoon. I put it down.
The classic,
Bing.
the classic. Everybody knows portable spittoon.
Yeah, just carries
The
it on your
portable
belt.
spittoon.
we're all imagining one in our heads, right? Because we basically all owned one,
You just wait.
or if not two.
I'm gonna come over here tomorrow, and I'm gonna sell out all my pumpkins right in front of you.
Okay. I think we'll end it right there.
All right, I'll watch the scene. Were there two characters or one?
I think Evan
there's
originally
two.
made
There's
two characters, but
yeah, there's the guy I'm trying to buy seeds from.
yeah, it was more just like, I guess I was thinking more of just like a
You
monologue.
said the
but-
pumpkin farmer is going to buy seeds.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking
So
more
I-
like you're just complaining about it, not necessarily like.
Okay.
But I mean, nothing
So-
specific, and it doesn't really matter. Like that could be two people. I could have just also
But-
played the person
From the
who
get go, I was
mentioned
like, why is a pumpkin farmer trying to buy pumpkin seeds?
it.
Yeah.
He ain't too smart. Neither
Yeah.
is the person creating the questions. All right.
And and Mother Russia, pumpkins don't grow seeds.
Seeds grow out of fear. I watch the ground and pumpkins sprout. They know what's best.
Mother Russia's grand pumpkin vodka. Americans have them pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. Russian pumpkin spice.
Russian pumpkin. Yeah, I guess it'd be like the Irish cream, but it'd be the Russian cream. Pumpkin vodka. Is there another? You have another scenario?
Oh, why not? Give me just a second. Actually, let me chat GPT a scenario.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Yeah, I was making a couple.
Kevin, during our in-person game, he went to this bookstore within the Bramblethorpe Village, and
Mhm.
I was basically talking crap on him because all of them like just walked in and didn't want any books. So I just made the merchant be like, "Yeah, you guys probably can't read anyways, but if you're looking for something, there's some nursery rhymes maybe you'll be entertained by in the back." And so he picked up the nursery rhymes because it had like like the tall tale sort of thing about the bear chimp that Kevin is
Oh, yeah.
absolutely like enamored with and trying to capture. It's supposed to be like this, it's like the Eldon Vale's Sasquatch essentially. So the
The
first
old
thing
bear
he did
chimp.
was he went to the blacksmith to have a net gun built so he could attempt to catch it. So
Hunt the cryptid. So I became a kid hunter.
dang, what the heck? Let's see if we can get into a thing, yeah.
Yeah. Good old bear chimp.
This ain't gonna work. So, this time we'll do it a little bit different. Instead of me choosing all of them, we'll just pass it off to the right. So whatever that is, depending on how
I
you're
know
looking at
I
the stream.
can't.
So it'll go. How about Justin, Evan, and then me, and then Justin.
All right.
We'll just go in a rotation like that. And
Okay.
let's see. The next person, when they feel like they want to jump in, you just say pause, and then whoever was going can make a change to the characteristic or like a personality trait or something.
Okay. So
All right.
I am making a character. No prompt. I'm making like the character in the scene.
If you would like.
Did you have a prompt? Did I miss that?
No, I was just gonna make one up. We
Oh yeah, go
we
ahead. No, go ahead.
essentially
Well,
just need a monologue, like a description of a monologue that we can carry on
I,
about.
I don't know, man. I don't know if this is the right guy or not. All right.
You don't even have to I guess we don't even have to specify it. Like if you want to just start into it, and then the next person carries on from there. Kind of like mixing in the game of telephone. Like nobody really knows what we're talking about, but the next person picks up where they think that it might have been going.
All right.
Either way, as long as we're RPing and having fun, that's all that matters.
I think that's super duper fun. And I'm not going to pick that. All right, there we go. I'm drawing a blank a little bit. Give me some prompts, man. I'm looking at a blank piece of paper and a pencil. I need some kind of prompt. It's not coming to me.
All right.
I have one.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you are what's a ASMR? ASMR? Yeah. How do you pronounce it? It's ASMR, right?
I say Azamar, but
Azamar,
whatever.
Asamir, Samir, Samar. Anyways, you're an Asamar that has fallen from heaven and hit your eye on a rock on your way down. So you have one great eye.
It's okay. I have a million hit points, so it's fine.
And you're headed to town to the Adventurers Guild to join the Adventurers Guild, and you're stopped at the front ledger office, and the man is staring at you
I
in
got it.
awe because you are a rare being and your glorious wonder.
Hey, okay. Look, so you're telling me I filled out the paper already. Okay, you said fill out C9 and come back. And that was 2 days ago. Okay, that was for my eye, right? Because I had to like file for disabilities coming in to get my registration, a disabilities registration, which I can still see out of the side. Okay, right? And now you're saying that this form technically doesn't exist because I haven't filled out 3B. Well, wait. Okay. Oh, okay. So where do I go get it? Form 3B. Okay. So to get Form 3B, I have to fill out Form C9. I mean, I fell for, like, I could kill you. Why? I could kill you. You're not even blinking. Like, hello, excuse me. Like, knock on the glass. You're not even looking at me at this point. I'm wildly unique. That's right. Next, or pause.
What's the addition and or change?
He's in the line where he's just met a pleasantly he's just found himself engaged in a pleasant conversation with somebody else in the waiting room for Form C9.
Okay. So, what are you here for? Oh, C9? Yeah. Yeah, me too. What happened to you? Oh, the dang badgers. Yeah, vicious creatures, aren't they? Oh, happened to me? Oh, so I'm an angel. I hit my eye. I fell from heaven. I hit my eye. That's why it's gray. And hmm? Are you saying something?
Oh, they're just a really tiny person. I forgot to mention that part.
Oh,
So their voice only comes through as little squeaks.
I don't really know what you're saying. I'm just acting like I'm repeating or saying things that I think you're saying. If you, oh, that might be rude. Like look up, like just trying to like wave at the guy at the front of the office. It's my turn yet because it's very awkward. Oh yeah, cool. So you're not an adventurer, huh? That's too bad. I'm gonna be one. Yep. Pause.
What's the addition?
The addition is so the first one was at the ledger's office. This time at the basically the medical office, right? That's where I was. Is what I was gathering there. You are now you're in the like physician's office, getting your vitals taken as an angel.
All right. Hey, what are you wrapping around my arm? Oh, a blood pressure cuff. All right. Fuck. Why didn't you tell me that? You just come up on me and start putting shit on me? The hell? Oh, by the way, my diet's a little off. I ate a fucking rat before I came in here, the size of a fucking dog. Oh, you're not supposed to do that? It had a little bit of green sort of haze and flies coming off of it, but you know what? Better can't be choosers, right? Okay. My heart rate, it's been a little high, all right? I'm not gonna lie. Not always in the best shape. I just fell from heaven. What can I fucking say? I haven't been here that long, all right? I need to do some push-ups and sit-ups, but look at my fucking eye. That's why I'm really here. I can't even fucking see. How am I supposed to do my training when I got one black eye and one white eye? It doesn't even make sense. What's my heart rate? I already told you what my heart rate is. It's high. All right, that's exact numbers right there. You want me to look at? You want to look at my tongue? Don't put that tongue depressor in my mouth. What'd you say?
Excuse me, sir. I don't know. I don't know how to tell you this, but the thermometer just exploded, and you have burned through every cloth instrument that I own. I am.
Because I'm
by all
toasty,
medical diagnosis.
I'm
pretty sure you're
I'm
just
a hunk of burning love. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me up there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna need an HR rep. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I need to do some reps too. How about I do some sit-ups in here while I'm waiting on this freaking doc to get at over here? If you take my vitals and hurry up, maybe I could get a proper examination. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you go get your facilitator, and I'll sit here waiting. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on. Do we want to keep going, or?
No, I think that was fun. That's fine. He just perpetual. See, I think the thing is he just keeps getting caught up in bureaucracy.
never gets anywhere. Just
Mortal
always,
bureaucracy.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
more and more.
And I
It
like
turns
that
out he didn't-
heaven is
he
now
fell
the
into hell.
Bronx.
Mhm.
Nice.
I need to make all my ASMR creatures or people,
New
NPCs
York.
from the
Right.
Bronx now. Yeah.
Yeah, they got that like that East City, that Northeast City kind of accent. I actually had an idea as well that's similar to this. If you guys want to come up with little scenarios as well for something similar. I'm sorry, Ethan, unless you had more segments. I didn't want to.
No, good.
Okay. So earlier today, whenever I was on the, on the our subreddit, right? And I was going through a lot of the resources on Reddit, and I'm just like reading people's posts and seeing where I have experience in some of the things that they've experienced, or just laughing, just that knowing nod. But I came across this post, and it was titled something like, I have it all typed up in the subreddit. As I thought, I was going to post it, but it's like, it was acrobatics is not athletics. You are wrong, or something like that. And this person's like, I hate the fact that all my players, like, I ask them to do an athletics check, and they are like, can I use acrobatics instead? And most people are pretty chill about that, right? They're like, sure, that's fine. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty common. And then there was a couple threads about like, well, I mean, for intimidation, you could do strength or charisma, right? And can you guys think of any other skill that like slides around like that, or like replaces one or the other? Not really, right? I mean, that's like the
Dex
common
and
skill.
Sleight of hand.
You said dexterity and sleight of hand?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Yeah. That's kind of use dexterity for sleight of hand. So I was like,
Well, I mean, your sleight of hand bonus comes from Dex,
Yeah.
though,
So I
right?
mean,
From your dexterity,
technically,
yeah.
any of those you could just say
But-
do a Dex instead of a sleight of hand, I guess.
I think he was saying
yeah.
because intimidation, you can use charisma or strength, like in theory, like the
Your
way
modifier.
because you're like, oh, I'm intimidating, or like you're so the way you speak, or you can like sound and look
Yeah.
intimidating based on the way you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
So could you
Going
not
about
put
it.
Your truth,
intelligence in
charisma's
too?
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
Somebody,
if it's a
here's where
group
the
of
epiphany.
wizards or a group of magic users, could you not intimidate
you-
somebody by your intellectual prowess?
Well, so that's the thing. Somebody, for 20 years, I have been doing this wrong, and I was beautifully corrected. And Evan, just from listening to you like talk about skills, this is how we've always done it. So somebody was like, "Hey, it is a charisma parentheses intimidation parentheses check." There are two different factors there. It's not just one thing, it is two things. You're using your charisma to intimidate. And it made me realize that if like all of those skills are on a character sheet are things that people do, that you just do throughout your life, And by limiting it to basically min-maxing, you will not have, like, you'll have one character that tries to intimidate everyone. Why? Because they're good at it. You know, like they've got proficiency and they have the correct stat for it. Maybe a cool hat or a mask or something, but nobody else is going to try to be intimidated. And so that's the thing I stumbled on. Like, how would you? This is what the thing. Like, think of scenarios in film, in our media, in the stories we love that are not bound by our mechanical rules, that are supposed to represent the stories we love. When somebody uses intimidation, do you have an idea here, Ethan? You got like a scene in your head?
For a character who uses intimidation?
Or just the scene, yeah. Just the scene where somebody uses, or scenario where somebody effectively uses intelligence.
Where they
For
use
intimidation.
intelligence for intimidation?
Yeah. So like the mechanical role would be take what if you're proficient in intimidation, take your proficiency bonus, add your intelligence modifier, roll the dice.
I mean, I guess it probably wouldn't necessarily be as popular in like a combat setting, but as far as like RP sessions, maybe to like get information or get people to follow you or you know, to listen to you or whatever means by it, it could be like associated with people in like a mages guild or a library or any type of research effort, maybe like a dig site, where somebody steps in and like tries to question your decisions or your judgment, and you could immediately that would be like a case I would think that you could potentially use your intelligence to kind of either go off or display like your sort of knowledge span on the subject to correct them in a way that, you know, if they're trying to like go against you or what you're saying, you know, you're basically putting them in their place by knowing more information or making it look like that you know more information than they do.
Nice.
I know. I thought of one.
You got one? You got it? Okay. What we got?
So similar to that, but in a way, it's still like an intelligence off. But you know, if so you're trying to get by or bypass this person who is gatekeeping some kind of info or item or whatever from you, probably from a library or some kind of important thing like that. And you
do a real political drama.
You do intelligence intimidation check on them to like verbatim, you know, whatever questions, you know, by the book answers back at them, and they're like, oh, okay, and you know, like back someone down off, you know, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, let me seed this a little bit because, again, this was like I had an epiphany, and I realized there are some really cool storytelling moments that are being missed out, that I'm not providing the tools to my players to tell. So, for an intelligence, like there's intelligence intimidation, but also think about all the other skills as well. You know, let's move off of this one. Let's go into a good one. Let's go with maybe a.
Before we do, I wanted to kind of say a quote real quick that made me think of something that you could do. In the Two Towers, sorry about the dog barking, they're insane. But in the Two Towers, when Gandalf gets to Rohan to free Theoden, and Wormtongue steps in front of him, and he's like, "Be silent! Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I have not passed through fire and death to bandy crooked words with a witless worm. And he like backs down as he like
And he uses
reveals his white.
prestidigitation right there
He
too,
like
right?
reveals his white robe and still holding his staff. And he's like, "I told you to take his staff." But it's just like one of those cool moments where it's like, it's like, why don't you sit down? A little run.
Well, it's like,
'cause I'm
when does your
Gandalf the
wizard
White
do that?
now.
Yeah. And when does your wizard like fucking flex on somebody? They don't. They're like, if you don't allow their intelligence or to be added to the skills that they're trying to perform, or the ones that they are proficient in, they're only going to pick knowledges, and that's going to prevent them from doing not knowledges. So, let's take this wizard character, right? And he's going to use an intelligence deception check, or actually, let's do an intelligence deception on like a rogue. As you're staring to these fierce eyes across the table from you, it's tense in here. Oh, fuck, they're mad. Yep, they're getting bloodshot. It's like, that's all you can. There's nothing else in this room. Just these pissed off eyes. And as you can feel something moving outside of Eye World, somewhere in the cosmos. And he's reaching for his crossbow. And you say, "Oh, is that old mahogany handle? The one that Devin was supposed to restring for you this afternoon." Yeah, it'd be a shame if somebody paid him to jam the trigger. Oh, check that, huh? No need, right? Just playing a game of cards. Oh, I mean, you could try to see if he did a good job, but I know that you know Devin, and he does good work for the person who pays the most. And friend, I'd really hate for you to throw away your life for a silly gamble, like bringing a toy into a knife fight.
I feel like wit kind of goes hand in hand with deception anyway.
But these are all knowledges too. These are all like, these, it's like, and the end of that is like, because if this goes down the way that, I have already planned it to, who am I going to take money from every Friday night? Slide your chair back and scoop the money off the table. And the idea is that you did not know that, if that was the crossbow as the player. You did not know if he, the last time he went to go, we saw Devin. But what you do know is the criminal underworld and this person that you play with every Friday night. And you're like, oh yeah, he every Friday before goes and gets his gun polished and gets the bow restrung, and everybody knows Devin. So you just kind of, that's an intelligence deception check, where you're just like banking on the fact that you know what they know, and you're just telling them stuff they didn't do.
I mean, you could say that, I guess. Like, I could see where, I feel like somebody, like, being deceptive requires being naturally witty, but at the same time,
Mhm.
is it a differentiation between you being able to recognize or remember those points in order to initiate the deception itself, as opposed
Mhm.
to being able to perform the deception in a way that
Ooh,
they
that would
won't,
be an intelligent performance too, wouldn't it?
in
That
a
would be an
way that,
intelligence-based performance as well. Yeah.
well, I mean, for deception, like, you know, are you going to be able to? You might know the information to be able to deceive them, but
hmm
can you perform the act of deception good?
hmm
Like, just because you're intelligent
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at lying.
Yeah. True. But you're still but you're still like offering that space for the main, like the bulk of the deceiving to be what you know, and to be the knowledge, right? Not the overbearing, or not like the confusion, right? That's one way to deceive people, is through confusion, not by playing on their emotions of like hope, um, not by deceiving them through uh, like tricking their senses and making them like see something that they don't see, like their wisdom. Like you are you are you let intelligence. But let's move on to it. Like let's explore another one too. Like pick any skill, um, and let's see if we can apply a a different stat modifier onto it to see the like some of the outcomes. I like here's another example. I see this uh, your this hero. There's big bar brawl, and all of a sudden coming through the door, Big John, 7 foot tall, bowl cut. He's wearing overall bibs and nothing else. Swings on you, you duck, you scatter out of the way. He runs at you, breaks the pool table. You fall down and you slide backwards. And as he's looming over you, you feel a pull cue behind you. You're like, yep. And when he gets close, you crack him in the face, and his head turns sideways. And then he slowly turns to look at you as if it never even phased him. And you're like, guys, he can't die. Everybody run. We're leaving. And that's like a constitution based intimidation check, right? Where you punch somebody as hard as you can in the face and their head doesn't move. You're like, okay, bye.
I mean,
That
that
was it. That's all I had.
wasn't. It's not like a skill check, though.
I mean, but it could be. Like
Right.
I think that it could be. I think I'd be like, oh, I would like to make a constitution based intimidation check to like pretend like I'm, make that face like like I'm glad that they made this mistake, like, oh,
hmm
oh, you're fucked, and like you were completely unfazed, and that's scary, bro. You've seen it in all the, I mean, it's in popular media, right? Seen it in almost
Right.
every single movie ever.
I feel like that's more of like passive insight as to like what you're up against, as opposed to
Sure,
being
but I mean,
intimidated.
like being able to use skills, in a way that separates those, because there are two stats on a skill. So what do you guys think about stealth? What else other than dexterity? What are other ways that you could hide?
Right.
Like
I think we're.
instantly. I mean, you could uh, incorporate like intelligence or some sort of stat representing creativity that you would like make camouflage, like the dude in
Ooh, like
the dude in Hunger Games, where they're not
uh-huh.
combative, so
Like
they
wisdom. That's like
they
wisdom
make
based,
really
right?
like good camo to where they just like lay on the ground the whole time, basically. But that's not something that you just be doing instantly. That's something that has to be like fully prepared. That's not like an immediate skill check that you can just do on the fly. That would be something that would take time and preparation. I mean, do you have an example for being able to hide using other stats?
Me?
Yep.
I do. Sorry, I just switched over headsets because power came back on.
Woohoo.
Hey. What the hell's playing on my phone? All right. Yeah, man, I was actually, I was thinking about it. Because I have been thinking about it all day. You guys don't seem to be, it doesn't seem to be epiphany for you. For me, this opens up an entire world of role playing. Like new ways to tell stories and new ways to use like how because skills are like behaviors, right? And so new ways to use these characters' behaviors to put a twist on it and open it up. Let me just pull up what I had written down. Is this something that you guys wouldn't incorporate, or maybe we'd have to see a little bit more in action or something?
I think it would have to be more or less like if a player is trying to do something and they ask, in a specific situation, if they can be able to do something like this, then I would probably let it fly. But I would not just like incorporate this to be like the base, like rules, like the core, foundation of rules that I use, because that's just like a whole lot of extra things. And then making it the same
Then
thing, remembering all of them across the board.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a lot of extra things to put in.
Well, the thing is, there's only one thing you change, right? You change nothing about a skill check. A skill check is always 1d20 plus a stat modifier plus the skill modifier, and that's it. So you say, I would like to use. So I'd like to. I'm gonna try animal handling, right? I'm gonna try to handle this animal. Okay, to get it to like behave differently. I want this thing to stop chasing us. This bull, like there's a bull, right? I'm a barbarian. This bull runs at me. I would like to make a strength-based animal handling. And I'm going to grab this bull by the horns. I'm going to toss his ass on the ground and push him away from me.
That's just an athletics check, though, at that point, right?
Could be. It could just be an athletics check. Yeah, yep, you got me there.
There are things, though, like especially with intellect. I feel like you can break most every check with intellect if you're going to go down this route. Like sleight of
Sure.
hand.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm using my sleight of hand to pick a
Oh.
lock because I just know how to. I'm so smart. I know exactly how to pick
Oh
locks.
no, but well, if that guy is in your game, you just
well, that's
I'll
what
make
we're
sure
saying,
I'll make sure to get him out.
though.
Well, I don't play
Okay,
with those
let's
guys.
kick Chad out of all of our games then.
No, Chad's a good storyteller.
I know. So that's
It's
what
always
I
a
think
good
Ethan
story
was
that comes with
pointing
it.
at is like in these certain niche situations. And I think using those, because the way you described that room with Big Joe or whatever, yeah, like that, as in
Fucking
terms
A,
of
dude.
the theme and how
Yeah.
things are happening, but not necessarily. It isn't necessarily a constitution, and because who was the player there? It's not a constitution. What do you call it? Intimidation check, because like. Are they making a counter check to like?
Well, that would be the thing.
An insight,
yeah, I'd say so. It's like what's your passive insider? Roll insight for me. You roll, and then I make this I make this 20 Constitution, 3 intelligence guy. Fucking, I make him roll, and he's The only words he says is like food, and he just grunts a lot as he picks up really, really heavy things that nobody else can. So he's already he's already got that vibe about him, right? So he's proficient. People are scared of him anyway. And so you got this guy who's just really scary. And it wouldn't just be he's scary because he's big and strong. So there's a strength. He's scary because he is missing teeth and nobody knows, but nobody's ever seen him bleed.
Right.
Right.
But what I was
And
trying
so
to
there's your
say, like
charisma.
Ethan was saying, is and in terms of certain role play scenarios, but it isn't like a thing like
You're like, well, and
where
you're
you
opening
can
up
always
space.
just let your players just
Oh yeah.
like that's all they're doing, like is just trying to use their main stat for all their
Yeah.
skill checks. Like no,
No, that's
like
the thing.
they
Well,
can't.
that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. They can, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, right? But by disallowing them from ever being able to use the main characteristic of their character, that's like defining feature. I'm a character, like I'm witty and smooth, and I know how to manipulate social situations. I'm never going to try to make a medicine check, right? I'm not your guy. Where everybody looks at the cleric, right? That's you, right? Because you're the one who does that. Or, well, you guys don't have a cleric. You guys don't have a wise person. Like, I need to make,
backgrounds and feats
sure.
are for.
Yeah.
And I think those are the situations where their check isn't involved, or where it's a cool role play moment. So it just happens, kind of a thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was just an idea I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think very niche, it can work, and I do agree with, especially mainly with the intimidation thing for sure. And then I think insight should be able to work with intelligence in multiple scenarios.
I have one more, and this one is called Open Invitation to the Yes and Club. All right. And it's for Arcana, right? Strength-based Arcana check. You walk into a room, and the crystal of Malthul has now been cracked into 2 pieces, and the ritual to release his soul has begun. Right? You got these 2 crystals like flying around in like these geometric patterns in the middle of a rune. Right. You got a barbarian. The guy who summoned it, he needed blood to do it. So there's not a person in here to fight, right? So the barbarian is like, I grabbed the crystals of Malthun, now splintered, and I physically forced them back together into their original shape as the energies of the spell, as this like escaping soul. And they like, you've seen this in the movies, right? They're like, as they're fighting, they're making an Arcana check to, like, the Arcana's doing shit. They don't know what it's doing exactly, but they're using their strength to fight against it, and they get the 2 pieces of the crystal together. And then your wizard makes a dexterity Arcana check as they move over to the lenses and crystals, conduits, and begin looking at the runes and begin moving the ritual around and focusing the energy away from where it was going to the intended location, and rather turning the beam toward the crystal that is in the barbarian's hands, right? So then the barbarian makes a Constitution Arcana check as the Arcana begins to try to like rip them apart, and they're using their shield, their physical force to try to not be like ripped apart. And then your bard makes an Intelligence Arcana check from like a safe distance, right? Like from the door, and he's like, "Guys, I think it's working." Then your druid makes a Wisdom Arcana check as they recognize the necrotic energies that are pouring from this thing are permanently reducing the strength of the barbarian that's holding the crystal. So they, instead of healing the barbarian, they cast their healing spell, this radiant energy, right, at the necrotic energy to stave it off. And finally, a charisma arcana check. As Malthul feels like in an approaching moment of like this unspeakable arcane power. The crystal's about to click back together, and it's trying to shift his soul to another plane. Potentially, it would free him from the crystal to some unknown place, but it's a risk that they have to take. So they allowed it to happen. They use their charisma, which is your presence, your connection to the world and the places around you and stuff. And I just like that's a arcane happening where you can use these are just examples of ways to use your other skills or your other attributes, because an intelligence is like knowing things. So if it's like everybody looks at the wizard and it's like, what do we do? And then he looks at the DM and says, you made this up, what do I do? And as the DM, I say, roll a dice. And if it's not high enough, you just don't know. Instead of that, you say, how would you like to interact with this thing? And you can have a barbarian who is into magic, right? That is, I don't know, like their tribe rips these magic crystals, or they're the only tribe strong enough to place a crystal into a facet or something, or the constitution check that it would be a constitution athletics check that Thor made to hold the freaking the furnace open, or whatever it was called, the forge. I mean, that was athletics, but it was constitution because he had to withstand it.
I mean, I think my honest opinion is that I feel like that's just like really trying to reach to be like all inclusive for every class to be able to do
Everything.
arcana.
To
So I feel
try
like,
anything. Well, to try anything.
well, I
I
mean,
the
a
the fact
barbarian
that
being
like
able
bacon
to use or their strength because they're
in this
pushing stones.
situation,
It's not because they're knowledgeable in arcane. It's because they say, "Oh, big rock is in two pieces. Let me try to put it into one piece." I wouldn't
yeah.
say it's because they have some like deep arcane knowledge that would allow that.
Well, I mean,
And then this would bring me
that's
back
true.
to like what I always go back to. It's like by making something all inclusive and everybody being able to be use their primary stats or something they're good at to be able to increase their ability to be able to do checks that their characters wouldn't normally be able to do. You're taking away from the character that is made to be able to specialize in that. So like if somebody makes a character and they're like, oh well, I can like be just as good as you with arcane because I will use my strength stat because I'm a barbarian, but they're just as good as the wizard, even though they specialize in magic and arcane
I look
knowledge.
at it differently. See,
Well, not if the rolls are
no.
better because
It's not
they're.
so
I
whenever
mean,
I'm playing games with people, I'm never like, I'm never thinking to myself, I am as good as this person at this particular, my character is just as strong as him, or my character is just as
whenever I
knowledgeable in this
play, if
skill.
I'm playing a barbarian, I'm not going to pretend to know about arcane knowledge unless I have like some sort of like magical background.
And
I
this
feel
is
like
a world of imagination. But
so
what
unless you're like a wild magic
a barbarian?
barbarian or something.
I think that's a thing. Um,
I mean,
I
yeah, it
think
is.
that the way I'm seeing this is not like, oh, my character is now just good at everything. What I'm saying is I instead of being gate kept and never and playing and never being able to participate
But you
in
are
situations fully.
participating if you're like helping stabilize the stone into one piece, even though you don't
Hmm.
know about arcane. Like you don't need to incorporate strength into an arcane role. Like you
Hmm.
don't have to know about arcane or the arcane magics to see that a stone has been split into two, and your natural reaction is like, oh, let's
You
make that
know,
back into one.
now that you mention it, it is it's wildly over convoluted, isn't it? Huh. Yeah. Well, case closed. I'm convinced, boys.
Solid. I think you'll get into like just a huge pool of being able to do different checks with any stat that you want. When I
Yeah,
really
and you
do
don't
think
want
that I
that.
really think
You don't
that
want
takes away
m-
from the game and what people specialize in. Like if I make a character that's awesome in arcane
mhm.
and somebody makes a barbarian who knows nothing about it, but they're able to figure out more about arcane stuff than the character that I spend my points and talents and proficiencies in, but
Mhm.
they also benefit from the same thing. It's like, why am I here? Like, why did I make this character? I could just make a barbarian and be a super tank and still be able to decipher arcane knowledge or how to disrupt
Well,
arcane
I
rituals.
if you can describe how to use strength to read a book, I will be impressed. I would say if you can convince me of that, I am that DM. I'd be like, hell yeah, you just punched that book into your head, bro. Good job. That was cool. But like, understanding or like reading a book and understanding its knowledges, that's, that falls into naturally like kind of intelligence, right? Um, Walking around the library and kind of just chatting people up and um, casual conversations in like this library full of snooty wizards. And like all of a sudden the player like the wizard's like going through and he's searching and he's like, I think I found something. And he comes back and the bard's like chilling there. And he's like, and then I told him. And you'll never hey, what's up? And they're like there's a bunch of professors around him. He's like, hey, have you met Professor Diddle? He has the biggest laboratory on the thing that we were studying, and I found the knowledge that we need through my charisma. And I mean, it's a funny scene. The wizard's got like all these stacks of books, and like probably a little dusty, in the parts of the library, and loving every second of it too. The wizard's like back there, like smelling the pages and being like, ah, this is my sacred space. He's like, yeah, he wrote some of those. You wrote some of those, right, Professor Diddle? It's like, oh, back in my youth, of course. But it's much more. Uh, I've gone much farther now, and it's like, cool. Yeah, we were gonna head back to his place and have a drink. Are you coming with us? Um, and you don't tell that story just because you want to like shit on one character or the other, but the dice tell the story, right? And so by allowing other people to add dice to the story, um,
Those aren't the
allow
same. One's charisma and using your way with words and people,
Mhm.
and one's investigating by reading books.
Yeah, that's
Like
very true. That's very, very true. I'm
I
sorry. I
mean,
was
we could say all
no,
day that like I'm going to incorporate this with this, but I
it's
mean,
just not true. Yeah.
once you break
It's
them
just wrong.
down, like
Yeah,
one, it's either you're charismatic and you're getting information that way, or you're using your intelligence to gather information one way.
And to help make the characters feel better or the players feel better, the person investigating could find out different clues than the person
true,
doing the
true.
charisma.
Yeah.
If that's like what you're not, I don't want to say worry, but if that's like what you're trying to alleviate,
No, not trying to alleviate anything. I just thought it was interesting to be able to use a skill in
well,
more
you
than one
mentioned
way.
having a player be left out or not get to do anything.
No, yeah.
So that,
well,
I mean, I
but,
was just bringing up a way to
Mhm.
make that not happen.
and it's also like a barbarian will never make an Arcana check, right? Or a religion check.
If they want to make those kind of checks, then right, they
or if
could
they
have
take
a part of
subclasses,
backstory.
there's a zealot
That too.
subclass where they're religious, or there's
Yeah.
wild magic,
Yeah.
or even the what's the elemental one to where they can have like the sand or ice or firestorm or whatever around them.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
Sure.
But I mean, I think some
But
of
it
the
does.
ideas are neat.
But the way I'm saying
some
it
of them
doesn't
can
make sense.
And the way you can incorporate some of them, which, like I said earlier, makes sense. Like, saying intelligence with, like deception. Like I was
So you
saying,
like that idea?
Like
that? Like you're sick? Like that's one that
I mean,
resonated.
it's
with you.
fine. I'm just saying that I wouldn't use that in my games.
Yeah. Right.
Because then you start going down rabbit holes, and I feel like it just jumbles up a bunch of things. And
Sure.
If a if a player has a character that they built to be able to do those like a couple of those niche, different skill kind of checks or something, then like that, I think that makes sense. But like, and that all circles back again to exactly what we're talking about, the different subclass, backstories, So it's like I don't think anyone here says it can't happen. I don't think that was ever, but where an instance where an entire party makes a different version of the same check, that one seems a little, like
a little far-fetched,
not likely.
maybe. Not likely.
I understand
it
the
seem
idea
like
for sure, though.
It was. I mean, now that I'm rereading it, I see where I can see where that would as it's playing out, would make the wizard, who is intelligence arcana, right, would probably not feel very useful, or the bard whenever they were whenever they're just standing there and they recognize that everybody else is focused on something else, right? And they realize that it's actually working, and so he calls out with bardic inspiration, just making a standard intelligence check to be like, oh yeah,
I think it makes me think
that's
of
this is what it's supposed to.
I think
but
he
didn't
said a few times
get
where
to participate.
You're like, it's like, so you just want to start off with every stat at 20, right? So I mean, if you can use all of your best stats to roll any sort of skill check, then do you even want to roll dice? Do you want to just auto succeed on everything?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, not being able to use those stats, using the stats that the rules are designed for you to, that makes your character not efficient in those things that you chose to not be efficient in, which not only provides
well, you get to choose proficiencies too, right?
Provides stuff for story. Well, that's what I'm saying. You chose to not be proficient or good or have decent stats in those areas to be able to make you good at these things. That's what I was saying. There's proficiencies, there's feats, there's traits, there's backgrounds. Just because you're a barbarian, that doesn't mean that you don't have to, or you can't be good or be proficient with medicine. So I'm sure there's something with alchemist that makes you proficient with medicine kits or something. I can't remember specifically.
You take the sage background.
Yeah.
Or an acolyte background. You grew up in the church your whole life.
So yeah, of course I'm not every player, obviously, but I mean,
Mhm.
I would want to not be good in the things that I chose to not be good at. Like the things that I'm highlighting that individualize my character is
Mhm.
what I want to be good at. Like I don't want to be this highly intelligent wizard that's an old man or you know like not muscular at all because I spend all my time in the library to be able to use my intelligence to perform like this athletics check. Like I want to not be that good at athletics. Like I don't want to be able to hang on very long to that ledge that I fall off on the side of because I'm weak as shit. Like I need to
Right,
either
right.
use
Like
a
you're not.
spell or somebody needs to come pull me up and save my ass.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's true. That's true.
But I'm also more about like sticking to I guess how the rules are. Like I know we have these conversations. Uh, I don't know if I want to say often, I guess, but we do have these things where we talk about including or adding different things and scenarios, and I'm usually uh, against them. Although there are some neat ideas about this, but yeah, I typically try to stick to with whatever it is at the moment, I guess, or whatever the rules are currently. If I add things in, I guess I do every once in a while with like our game. I try added in some of the tin candle stuff. Didn't really execute it that great, but
I killed another player. And see, that's the stuff you got to worry about. That's stuff you got to worry about right there.
So
That like really like that was a bad storytelling moment.
I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I'm sorry I ranted on so long about this, guys.
It's fine.
I mean, yeah, but you know what? Thank you for helping me understand the failure points in this. I was not seeing those.
There are some good points in it, though. I
Yeah.
understand it. You know what I mean?
But they don't outweigh the potential danger.
I don't know, but I am not willing to play test it. If you do, let me know how it goes.
I don't know now. It's been a little worried now.
I do think the intimidation one is good, especially if they did pick it as a proficiency. That one makes the most sense to me.
Well, I'm glad. Hey, you know what? I'm glad something positive came out of it then. So, constitution, charisma, and strength, and
I mean, what if you're just backflipping on them? That's Dex.
I mean, I saw this
You're
movie
like
one time.
you're pulling the Muhammad Ali thing, but I mean, you could also say that's charisma, though, isn't it? Or is it Dex?
I saw this. I saw this like a movie one time where like a ninja, a ninja turtle, like took his nunchucks and was like spinning it around him and like displaying like all these dexterous acts and doing flips and kicks and stuff. And then the people were like, "Dude, we ain't gonna fight you. You're scary."
Mm-hmm.
But then the same thing happened in Indiana Jones, and he just shot him. That's how scared he was. He was like, "Yeah, fuck that guy. Pow! I kill him from over here, though."
That's the failed roll.
Well, I feel like the guy succeeded in intimidating him. He was like, "I'm not going over there." or leaving you alive. All of
Um,
both of those things are too dangerous. Pow, and he
you
just shot
have
him.
a total of a 4 for your dex. What do you call it? Dex intimidation roll.
Mhm.
The
You roll a nat
the
20. This guy's terrified.
the the bar fighter pulls out a revolver and shoots you.
Yeah. I like this, I just so I the scenarios that I've given may be a little bit grandiose, full of plot holes and things. The intent, though, I will have you know, is to see a wizard use all of the skills and behaviors to see the bard, to see the barbarian, in have the space to interact with the things that they, because it's interactive storytelling, right? And so like when they want to add to the story in whatever way it is, it doesn't mean they're going to be great at it or as good at it as another character. There's always context, and there's always, there's like when you make a skill roll, there's a maximum and a minimum that I approach in my head, right? What's the maximum? What's the best outcome and what's the worst outcome, right? I'm not every time you fail a dexterity roll when you're jumping from rooftop to rooftop is not you fall to your death, because that doesn't make the chase scene better. It just ends the chase scene. So if you fail your dexterity roll, you hit your stomach on the other side. They gain distance, maybe turn a corner. You lose sight of them, and you have to scramble up. Right. So in my head, that's worst case scenario. Oh, a nat 1 means that you do fall onto some scaffolding and land on your back, take some damage, and as you look over, they're like jumping down to the same level as you, just like a little, but they're farther away, and you have to get up, and now they're running on one. You're not on the same building anymore, but you're like running parallel to each other or something. So there's always like that maximum minimum, you know. The wizard who spent their entire life studying and practices magic and is a practitioner of magic will have a different maximum than someone else as they approach these things. But I just making it approachable for any player to use their character to help tell the story is the concept. You know, that's and not everybody's gonna be good at everything, but that's it's okay.
Couldn't they just provide something with what they are good at?
Um, I mean, if the story is, if that's how they want to participate in the story, but it's the idea that you can't provide something that you're not good at is limiting, and it sounds like that's something that you guys do like, though. You like those limitations. You like you like having spaces where your character is incapable. And Ethan, I heard you saying that, and I totally understand that as a DM who has all the power in my hands, right? Like I can make literally anything happen. So it's nice to be like, oh, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And so like you have space and limitations. So I definitely understand it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like personally,
Mhm.
I am not actively seeking the characters to be limited, but I do like the sort of specializations, like
Mm-hmm.
when when you have these, for
Mm-hmm.
me, and also I wanted to clarify that I completely understand also what you are trying to do with
Yeah,
this
yeah.
and being like more inclusive and allowing the players to be able to participate in certain things.
Allow more
Um,
story to be told
I mean,
as well. Allow more story to
in
exist.
the manner that you're choosing to do it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't it doesn't to me subtract being able to tell the story because you don't allow players to do something. If anything, um, it can change how the story was revealed. Maybe there are, uh, instead of players being able to gather information, maybe it's more just subtleties that uh, slowly unfold or cause something to be more surprising because they don't have access to this information.
Sure, yeah.
But having these things that the players are like not proficient in,
Hmm.
or like say you get to a scene and your character doesn't know anything about whether they're like what they're doing. Say they are the barbarian that doesn't know anything about arcane.
Hmm.
I I think that that's fine and that makes sense. Like why does that
Yeah,
person
sure.
like
Hey,
if they
maybe
don't
that's
have
a
anything to
stretch.
do,
Maybe
like
that's a stretch, you know. Okay, I'm gonna give you one that you can't argue with. You just can't argue with this one. This one's perfect. It's absolute. It's you guys can try, right? You
well my
can
point
try to.
is like
Uh-huh.
it's fine to be limited. Like you don't have to have
Yeah.
access to every single thing, and that
Yeah.
highlights the characters that are good at those things.
Uh-huh.
So, uh, like, we keep bringing up the part of like adding to the story. Well, the players that are good at those things, that's highlighting them in the story, as opposed to highlighting everybody. This allows you to be able to highlight characters as individuals for being good at what they made their character to be good at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, no, I mean, absolutely right. But I have one that is infallible. It's 100% perfect. There's no way you could dislike it. All right. Constitution acrobatics check. I know, I know. Sounds like you're gonna not, it just can't happen. But your halfling circus performer, who is a contortionist and proficient in acrobatics, is also a tough little bastard and has a high constitution, folds himself up into this impossibly small, like crumpled up version of himself, right? And you stuff him inside like I don't know, like a pot or something or a box basically. And you give this box to somebody to be put in a vault so that he can crawl out of the box and open the vault from the inside. But he has to be that way
Did you just watch Ocean
for
11 and call the little Asian
Mhm.
guy a hobbit?
Yeah. And he has to be that way for hours. So he has to hold his rib cage just perfect. So his heart, so he's not like damaging his heart or his organs, or so he still has enough, his lungs can still expand and breathe. And that is totally constitution, right? That is constitution right there. Like, like your physical fortitude and, you know, perfectly, manipulating your body for survival. And um, that's see. So there's a perfect one. The barbarian using strength to make an Arcana check. Okay, you got me. Maybe I was maybe that one kind of sucks. But acrobatic Constitution check. I think that fits. That's like the
Well,
chef's
I think
kiss.
the issue with this is that you're comparing a scenario that happens all the time versus one that happens like one
all
in
all the time.
like
There's
an
just little people.
eternity of life.
There's like little people folded up in boxes just fucking everywhere, guys. You have to be careful. Like,
It's like, all right, we're going on a prison heist, guys. Where's the
yeah,
halfling?
I carry a ski pole with me everywhere, just in case. I stab every box I see. It's a real problem around here.
Do we have any halflings that are contortionists around here? Are you double jointed at least? All right, that'll work. Throw him in.
No, like what a cool thing for that's like on a player's as their mission. They like walk up. It's like you walk into the the black market or something because you don't want you need a name and you don't need to know you know, nobody needs to know that you got this name or that it was given, you know. So you got to go to La Shady. You're like, it's like, what can I get you? You know, and it's like that scene in Men in Black, and all the guns flip out of the walls, and he's got all this illegal shit. You know any halfling contortionists? He's like, I don't even want to fucking know, and he just writes a name down. Get out of my shop. I'll never come back.
Oh, I just realized what time it is. You guys ready to close up for tonight? All right. Well, looks like we kind of talked about conditions about half of the show. But,
Then we role played.
and then we role played, and then we talked about skill checks, and
Mm-hmm.
here we are. I believe, Justin, you'll be up for the talking points next week, or are we playing? Or are we gonna have a show next week?
I'm down to have a show next week.
Okay.
I'm absolutely down to have a show next week. We could have a guest on potentially. You know, we have a great somebody who's been telling a story since 2008. That could come on and tell us a little bit about, and has been a professional dungeon master. If we can get, it's Aiko, they, them, she, her.
She, her.
She, her. So if we can get her on, but she is so freaking busy, dude. Just all the time. So it is.
She finished moving, so I'll
Okay.
talk to her.
Okay. Yeah, and I've reached out too, but
Okay.
potentially that. And I also met a very young, ambitious man, who is like, you know, has been writing a story for a year. So that would be pending like us talking to him prior, before you just had him on. But it would be interesting to see, you know, somebody who's devoted that much time into storytelling, like we have, in a different medium,
Mhm.
to see the similarities and differences. But yeah, I'm down for next week.
All right. Well, everybody have a good night, and see you on Tuesday.
Love you guys. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.